Hello, everyone. Andy Goldberg here, and I'm excited to have Monique Goodwin from Purity IT onto the Founders Chair podcast today. Monique, welcome.
Thanks very much, Andy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure. I'm really excited to hear your story. Um, can we just start off, Monique, if you tell us a little bit about you personally, where you're from, what you do when you're not working, that kind of thing?
Sure, yes. Okay, so I've moved about quite a wee bit, mainly throughout Scotland. I was born in Kilmarnock, and now I stay just north of Milngavie in the north of Glasgow. I'm in a little village. I have quietened down my life a bit now. Used to stay in the city and busy, buzzy, but no, loving the quiet life. I think my spare time, I'm quite creative. I like doing up properties. I like interior design. I also like singing. I sang in a band. We did quite a lot of charity work in the past. Haven't done anything for a while now. And things like weirdly doing flowers for people's weddings seems to fulfill that creative side. I've got the tech brain. And at the moment, I'm not doing many other hobbies. I did have a horse for a long time. I lost him last year. He was 30, so he was a big part of my life. So I have more time now and a bit more money. Don't ever get a horse. They eat all your money.
Well, it seems like all your hobbies are businesses anyway. Like if you're doing interior design, building up homes, singing in a band. Uh,
Yeah, some of them are not paid. Well, to be fair, the singing, yes, it all requires planning and organising, etc. So there's definitely sort of overlap with, certain skills there. But yeah, not all of them are paid
So
technically.
tell us a little about your story of how the business came about and at what point you felt you had the confidence that you could run your own business.
Yeah, so it's a while now. So 23 years I've had the business and I worked in corporate. I worked for a big sort of global insurance company, IT manager in there. And they were given two choices. Back about 2000, 2001, you could stay and be outsourced. This was the big outsourcing time. I think it was either BT or IBM, or you could take redundancy. So I decided to take redundancy, and myself and a fellow colleague, somebody who worked in the team, decided we would set up a business doing IT support. Now, at that time, I also had an interview for another fairly big corporate, and I was sort of torn between the two. I'd never run a business before. I was used to, the corporate world. And I remember telling the recruitment company that I wasn't taking the job and I was going to start my own company. And she thought I was mad. Yeah, I think it was quite a good role. But anyway, sometimes I do wonder maybe I should have gone down that route. But yeah, so we started back 2002, it must have been now. Things have really moved on, obviously, since then.
Mm.
There's no social media back then. There was no Facebook or LinkedIn or anything. So a lot of it was done, face to face, a lot more networking, advertising in journals and newspapers, my goodness.
Yeah.
So
Different
um,
times. Not that long ago, but it was different times.
yeah, it's time to have moved on. So I think, I mean, the turning point was probably we paired up with we took getting taken under the wing, I suppose, of Scottish Enterprise. They had a unit of target innovation, and they were helping other businesses with their IT, getting them onto internet, broadband, that kind of thing. So we got put forward to quite a few tenders through them. And we won our first one for a sort of care type facility over on the south side of Glasgow. And it was a great project. It was, we basically brought what we knew in corporate to this business. And I think that was the start where we thought, gosh, we can really help businesses that have really crap IT, like
Mm.
sticky plasters. I know sticky plaster IT disasters, what we used to call it when we would see it. So I think that corporate background certainly helped to bring those methodologies. Um, I guess meeting people, I had never networked before. I was in a corporate bubble. Um, and I remember going to my first networking event, which was BNI. and I thought it was, like people were handing me business cards, and I was like, my goodness, it's so forward, like, and like this is some sort of cult. But I was in BNI for a good 10 plus years, on and off over the years. So I think that gave me the confidence in terms of, like public speaking, meeting other people, other businesses. And we then started to get clients through BNI as well. So we didn't really go through the sort of traditional sales route.
Mhm.
It's not certainly not a particularly great skill of mine. I can do it because I'm passionate about it, but I think I'd rather do anything than pick up the phone to do cold calling. So
Well, I mean, there was a time, and maybe there still is a time and place to do that kind of marketing, cold calling, direct mail. But when you're starting out in business on yourself, you're on your own. Even if you have a business partner, you're on your own, right? Something like
Mhm.
BNI, love it or hate it, you can't argue with the idea that at least once a week you're amongst other people, other entrepreneurs who are also working hard to grow their businesses and are
Yeah,
looking for business for you. And that's got to be a positive thing to do.
yeah. I that definitely helped me grow as an individual because I was a lot younger then, just come out of a bubble really. And meeting all these different people and the discipline as well, it starts early. It's not just sort of rock up whenever you feel like it. So there's a discipline there as well, which is good because I mean, I always say you're still accountable to your team, yourself, your clients. People think, oh, it's great to start a business because you've got no boss. Well, you do. You're accountable to all these people. You've got responsibilities. So yes, obviously over time things can, be a bit more flexible, but I think that when you're in, as I say, back to BNI, you've got that discipline there. You're helping other people as well.
And another interesting thing you said earlier when the corporate person said when you were leaving that you're mad to think about starting your own business. And like, how did you feel when they said that? Because first of all, it's not a bad thing. Like, I think we all need to be a little bit mad. Look what you're giving up, right? The security of a regular salary. You're taking on a big responsibility financially, responsibility
Hmm.
for other people. You have to make all the decisions. Did you feel you were a little bit mad to go down?
Yeah, yes, at certain points I did. I worked in a clothing store, sort of boutique store, for nearly 2 years at weekends and a couple of evenings because once I got into everything, I realized I know we can do this and I really want to do this, but the cash wasn't great, starting out. Obviously you've got some redundancy money, but that doesn't last all that long, if you've been used to a fairly reasonable salary. So I think I definitely made some sacrifices. And at times I thought, oh, I think she was right. Maybe I made the wrong decision. But once you get in there and you see the differences and the changes you can make, and you see things happening around you, bringing new staff on and things and growing it, you sort of get and the marketing and your brand, and you do get quite excited about it all. And
Indeed.
you're so far in that you're like, no, I'm not giving up now.
Yeah, it's an adventure, right? It's a journey with its ups and downs and challenges, but that's what you embrace rather than avoid the challenges. It's just part of an
Yeah.
inevitable part of the journey, right?
Yes, it is. And you know this from you mentor and look after and coach lots of businesses, and it's tears and snorters at times. It's not,
Indeed. So
it has its challenges.
tell us about your company now, Monique. What are the main services and products? Who do you service? Where are you based?
So we predominantly look after companies in Central Belt, Scotland, and we effectively become their IT department and their IT director. So it's a very holistic approach. We don't really do break fix. People just phone us up randomly because, you know, they can't get their email working or their printer's not working. We work very closely with clients, so we are like their department. Um, And I absolutely cannot stand dramas in firefighting. So we're very good at getting everything monitored proactively, just so the companies are working. Um, we've had clients for a long time. We've had clients for 20 odd years. We've watched them grow. Um, and I think for me, like the types of companies we work with it doesn't really matter what kind of business they are. We don't really have a vertical, but I always say as long as I've got 10 bums on seats in an office, that's the sort of minimum really that we can help make a difference. Our sweet spot's probably companies with about 30 staff. We look after quite a lot of legal firms, accountancy firms, that type of thing. Um, and we've got the team who are looking after them day to day for all their team. Um, and as I said, we obviously monitor things, a lot of cybersecurity monitoring as well, and services. Um, but the other side of it is, I guess I'm like an IT director for them. I will do their budget for them for the year and say, look, this is all the things that are going to happen. This is the age of your machines. This is what's going to happen out in the world. You know, that's the things, I'll sit with them. If they want me in board meetings, I'll do that. So there's a lot of, we're really sort of in bed with our clients, if you
Yeah.
like. It's not really just a phone us when something's broken kind of thing. So
Okay, so cybersecurity is a big part of what you do, right?
massive. Yeah.
What's been happening in the cybersecurity market? How has it been changing? I remember when I started out in IT, and one of the things we sold
Oh,
was security services, and it was very much a, well, nothing's happened to us so far.
mm-hmm.
Why why spend the money?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
surely that's
Yeah.
changed.
I think that's one of the challenges, like sometimes companies that I'm not saying companies that we've got, but people ask, well, why are those charges there? What is it you're doing for those charges? Like, um, and I'm saying, look, a lot of this is proactive monitoring. A lot of these things are stopping something happening. Like obviously you've got your basic antivirus, things like that. Everybody knows what that is. You've got some enhanced types of things that look for bad behaviors across the network. I liken it to you've got a bouncer on a door with a VIP list. That's your antivirus. You're getting in or you're not getting into the club. And you get in, somebody sneaks into the club that shouldn't be there, and somebody inside, a bouncer spots bad behavior that's going on, and you get chucked out. So these are like enhanced levels of security, like sort of endpoint detection, looking at what's going on across the network. A big one for us is monitoring clients 365, because 365's cloud, it's like a sweetie shop for hackers. It's just, you know, a great place to get into a business. So we monitor that all the time. We monitor where people are logging in from. One of the things hackers do immediately is they get in and they create rules, sub boxes, in boxes, subfolders, and so they can redirect things and watch all the language, and folk don't know they're in there. So things like that flag up, we're on, did you create subfolder? And people can find it a wee bit intrusive, but
Yeah.
we can't see what they've done. We just check to make sure, look, you shared a lot of stuff externally. Did you do that? So I think 365 is a big one. And things are coming on the market all the time. We help companies educate their team. We do phishing training, things like that. Um, Sorry, my monitor's going to go off. To educate their team, because people fall for phishing alerts, and 99% of breaches are caused by somebody that falls for something that looks like a legit email. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and tons of stuff that we do for clients every day.
And
To
and I get they won't see a lot of that. Like, you said, well, what are we paying for all this cybersecurity for? Nothing's happened. And you're
Mhm.
thinking, well, that's the point. Would you
Yeah,
rather would you rather have a security breach to show you where your money's going? It's like, no,
yeah,
if nothing happens and it's quiet. That's a
yeah,
good.
exactly. I know it's very difficult. I mean, like we can show them reports and things, I don't think many people are overly excited about reports as long as things are getting picked up. But we'll do penetration testing for companies and scanning because their insurance companies love that as well. Their cyber insurance loves, oh, great. So you're doing penetration testing once a year and you do simulated phishing to educate your team and you've got cyber essentials, which we do as well for companies. So it's really getting everything really properly done, set up, nice, tick box everywhere. And they can get on with their business and sleep at night. And I can sleep at night with my team because I don't want anything happening. I want to make sure we're on it and picking stuff up. So yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the kind of the journey as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. What would you say has been one of your biggest learnings as a business owner over the years?
I think for me, oh my, is don't be naive. Don't be naive. I think that you start and you have people join you and great clients and things and you think this is it, this is fab. And then some strange things can happen. Like myself and my business partner that started the business, we parted ways about 6 years into the business. And that was a fairly ugly exit. So and I think back to being naive or not being naive, you think everybody's loyal and everybody's there for you. And, people have got their own ambition and they want to maybe go and start their own business or leave to go somewhere else. All these things do happen. So I think it's a journey. Nothing, it's a dynamic journey. It doesn't stand still for very long. You can't really think, oh, that's everything sorted. We've got everybody because people do move, they change. One of the sayings I saw is a quote by Patrick Bet-David, which is watch out for lazy, ambitious people, which is slightly controversial. But I think what he's getting at there is that it's fine if people, have got that drive and ambition to go and start, but you've got to be careful. They're not going to try and nick your collateral, your intellectual assets, property, your clients, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that can be quite hard to protect. And it's just part of human nature in business. I think you just have to accept it. So, and try and build up a great client base and great team that you look after really well that wouldn't want to leave you. So
Yeah, so attract great people, but then look after them,
yes,
keep them.
yes. And one of the things I remember actually, it was a good point of good people, is I learned this from Duncan Tannehill. So I don't know if you know Duncan. Duncan was an action coach many years ago, and he said, he gave me the E-Myth book, and he basically said, and this is what I've remembered, never be scared to employ people who are better than you are at different things that you're not good at, you know. Yeah, that could be sales, it could be, but I'm not particularly technical anymore. So, have good people around you. Don't be scared to have good people around you. Don't let ego get in the way of that. And
Yeah. Ego
yeah,
is a big, I contend with business owners' egos all the time because we think that we can do it better than the team we've got, or we want it done a certain way. So we don't let go of those things. And then we're not allowing ourselves
yeah,
time to be the owner.
yeah.
We're
And
not
listen to
your
your
team
team.
to grow and get better, right? You want your team to get better at these things. They need to be able to make mistakes and learn.
Yeah, I would agree. I've
That's
always been quite open with the team, team meetings and, ask them their views on things as well, on different, products or, clients or, projects, etc., where we're going. Um, I've always sort of involved them where I can.
yeah.
And, they're there dealing with the client, at the end, you know, so they know more than me on a technical level, products, services.
What would you say
So
has been your biggest challenge during over the years? And was there somebody who helped you through it or pushed you through it?
Okay. There's been a few.
Yeah.
Um, I would say like the one when myself and the business partner fell out, um, that was difficult. That was difficult. And I think that again came back to naivety because we had myself, him, and another chap, and the shareholding was all like it didn't add up properly, you know. So they had more together than I did, and then it got ugly, but we got through it. And there was a couple of people helped me through that. A chap called Eddie and Robin. One was a business type coach, and the other was like an accountant stroke lawyer, believe it or not. It was both. So they really helped push me through, and one of them did the AGM meeting that was called for me and things like that. So got through it. Right, it was a challenge. And I think the other one was that was fairly painful was back in 2008, the crash, and the bank literally pulled the overdraft overnight. So that was excruciating.
Yeah.
And I not entirely sure how I would have got out of that one. Had it not been, it's a bit like some sort of fairy godmother had appeared, although he was a man. We did a lot of work for a company down south. We did all their NHS stuff, as in remote hands for them. It wasn't a massive contract, but it was reasonable for some of this stuff, and it was in the Royal actually. And he basically paid me up front, which basically gave me that cash flow for the next 6 months. So I
Yeah.
died. So I think the learning from that is uh I'm not saying not about having overdrafts, and I don't actually have one now, but I think really having um either sort of savings, a business savings account, you're putting money away, you're really doing your cash flow forecasting, you know what's going on every day, I mean, things can happen. So having some sort of reserve and fallback that you're not absolutely twisted in the wind.
Yeah. Good budgeting, good cash flow management.
Yes,
Be on top of the money.
absolutely. That is one of the points that it says absolutely be on top of the money. Know exactly every single day. Like that's the first thing I do every morning. But I get up quite early and I basically reconcile all the bank. I check everything, update my forecast to make sure that I know what's going on. There's no dramas about to unfold.
I mean, that's good discipline. Like you mentioned discipline earlier about getting up early to do BNI. Like that's an important discipline to have. And you've probably been doing it so long, it's no longer a discipline. It's probably just a habit, right?
It's a habit.
Yeah.
It is a habit. You're right. Because I actually get withdrawals if I haven't done it, I get quite agitated. And I need to see everything's in the right place and what's happening in that bank account. That set of zero accounts.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's no excuse. Like you mentioned, zero. Like the
Yeah.
software, the systems are there. There's no excuse for not understanding your numbers and your financials.
It is so much easier these days.
Sure.
Zero, I don't use QuickBooks. I imagine it's very much the same. It'll reconcile, it'll import bank statements every day. It is so much more straightforward. And I'm in a peer group, and not all of them are. They do their skill sets elsewhere. They're brilliant at other things, but to them, they're like, but they just employ a bookkeeper to do it. They employ a virtual bookkeeper who'll do that exercise every day for them. So again, it's if you're not good at something or you don't particularly enjoy it, then have someone else do those bits.
Yeah.
Don't let it just disappear off a cliff edge and then uh, go, oh,
Yeah.
we've run out of money, or I've I don't there isn't that amount of shares in the company to take.
I remember another coach saying once that for everything that you hate to do, there's somebody out there who loves it.
That's a great saying. I've never heard that saying. That's a good saying.
And I guess the
But
same thing can be said for everything that you're rubbish at. There's somebody out there who's great at it.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
so don't be doing the things that you hate and the things that you're no good at.
aye. Because they take you 10 times longer, don't they? Because you can put it off
But it's the business owner's job to be on top of the money. That's not something you
100%.
should be abdicating to somebody else.
No.
Yeah.
Or at least know every day that you get a report and they're telling you what's going on.
Exactly. So what's the next big thing for you in your business, Monique? What do the next 1 to 3 years look like in terms of areas of growth and opportunities and challenges?
Yeah, I think we are actively looking to grow, doing quite a lot of marketing and sales. Um, I just know we can look after companies really well, with this sort of tool stack of security we've got, just the way we work. We've done it for long enough. Very particular about things. And I think, I mean, there'll be more cybersecurity stuff coming along, they're in the landscape never changes, it's constantly evolving. So I guess for us keeping up to date with all of that, and there's various different things that will evolve. AI is just going to like be great and awful at the same time, so that is the next big one, I think, where uh, uh, bad actors are going to take huge opportunities in.
Sure.
So that will be something of a challenge.
Yeah.
But
And what
solutions will come out, solutions will be there, and it'll be up to us to evaluate all the solutions and bring them to clients.
sounds like you're always having to adapt the way you operate, the way you market, the way you communicate to the marketplace, aren't you? Because the challenges are that your clients are facing are always changing and technology is always changing. You've got to keep quite
Yeah,
um
yeah.
buoyant, don't you?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And we're constantly evaluating, speaking to vendors, suppliers, about, products that are out there. I said to you earlier, we spend quite a lot on time on doing demos and things like, seeing what's out there, going to these conferences. Um, it sometimes does, I think my clients feel, like, why are you bringing more stuff to us? Like, stop. Um, and it's my job to tell you about it, and sometimes you can decide, no, I've recommended it, it's not for us, which is fair enough. But some of the products we sell, if you're in a support contract with us and we're looking after you, there's some services in there that are mandatory. They're not negotiable because the risk for the business and my business is too great. So certain things, it's not a pick and mix that you can just pick things out. If you don't want that, you don't want this, you know. Um, and it's not being draconian. I've seen what happens when people don't have these things.
Sure.
They think it won't happen to us. We'll be fine. You know, how can you possibly know what 34 staff are doing every single day? What they're clicking on by accident, what they're sharing by accident.
Sure.
So
Absolutely. I can see how it would be so easy to click the wrong thing, open the wrong thing. I mean, I've done it, and I think probably most people have either been on the wrong end of a hack or know somebody that has.
yeah, they're getting clever, and people can be tired and they just open something because it's the end of the day or they're on a train or a plane or whatever, and they open it, and then they go, oh no.
Final question, Monique, for today. What advice would you have for business owners who are just starting out on their own or who are thinking about starting out on their own?
Okay, so I'm going to assume they have started or they are just about to. A business plan, like 100% a business plan. Not a business plan that's just a wee keep the bank happy for a loan or, you know, a grant that you're getting. Like a proper business plan, it doesn't need to be 30 pages long. It could be 2, 3 pages. Um, that business plan is it's like your vision, your goal, what you want to achieve, and you can add bits into it, like your marketing plan, your sales plan. Um, but a business plan, absolutely. And like reviewing it regularly, like having it in a way that isn't like a difficult document to work with. Do you know what I mean? Like, people think, oh, it's a business plan's just to satisfy somebody, but it's not to satisfy your business. It's your goals, aspirations, dreams, where you
I,
want to go.
I call it an action plan. I find that people can get their head around an action plan. It's who does what, when are they going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas a
Mm-hmm.
business plan is, like you say, something you give to a bank or a finance
Mm-hmm.
company if you
Mm-hmm.
get a loan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but an action plan,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
Yeah. And so you know what you're doing annually, quarterly, monthly, right down to like, what you're actually doing. Like, I've got something that's up here that says I'm supposed to make 20 sales calls every day, which I haven't done. So I have failed on that one, but on others I have done well. So, um, but I would take that out. I might adjust it and say actually 20 is, you're being ridiculous. You're just not going to do 20 calls a day, Monique. So, um, take it down to something you actually will do, and then you're not going to avoid it, and you actually feel good that you've achieved it, and there'll be an outcome of having some new clients on board. So
The important bit is having the plan in the first place, spending the time to think it
yeah,
through and set the
yeah,
goals and do that.
yeah,
Whether or not you're going to do everything on the plan, that's a
yeah.
different story, right? That's great advice. And
I would say that.
yeah, I'm not sure I've had anybody on the show that's offered that as their number one piece of advice for business owners. So you're talking my language for sure.
Hey. I think I just need to know where I'm navigating personally. Um, I think the other thing I would say as well is, other than I mentioned earlier, know your figures all the time. Every day, know your figures and forecast it. Don't go in hope and a wing and a prayer. But the other one is like, I've done this. This is a mistake I made. I have brought in external salespeople, and some of them have been brilliant, and they were the least salesy. Um, that chap left to go to the police force, and he was brilliant. And then I've had other people who were salesy people who weren't so brilliant. And that could come from me. So I take accountability that I might have not have sort of set all the targets and whatever, and communicated things right. But I think the best salesperson in your business is yourself. You know, especially at the beginning. You're passionate. You know what it's about. You know why. You're bringing this to market. You know how it can help people, businesses. Um, and I think that never really leaves. I think you will always be the best salesperson in the business. I'm not saying that's the best use of time, but I think naturally you will always sell. But you're not really selling. You're just so passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
So I
And then
would be
and that starts
careful
to
of,
the team.
yeah, yeah. I would, for me, I know every business is slightly different and different models, but I think don't be too quick to pull in sales folk initially.
Love it. Well, Monique, we've come to the end of the interview. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks again so much for being on the show.
I appreciate being on. I had a pleasure being asked. Nice surprise. Thank you so much. Good to meet
Well,
you.
nice to meet you. This has been the Founders Chair podcast. We've been speaking to Monique Goodwin of Purity IT. I've been Andy Goldberg from Action Coach. And a big thank you again, Monique, and a big thanks to all our listeners. And we look forward to seeing you all again real soon on the Founders Chair podcast. Thanks very much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.